Yep.
All right, my name is Jayson Uribe. I ride for Orange Cat BMW on a BMW M1000 RR built by Alpha for Orange Cat BMW in Moto America Stock 1000.
And where are you in the Stock 1000 Championship on July 17th?
As of right now, we are in second place. We're 7 points behind the leader going into our last round in New Jersey in September. So we're excited. We're ready to take the championship fight to the last round and try our best to make it happen.
And how many years have you been racing Stock 1000?
This is my rookie season in Stock 1000. I've been riding 1000cc bikes for quite some time, whether it's been Honda, Yamaha, whatever, Suzuki. But so far, I've been loving the BMW M1000 RR. It's been a fantastic motorcycle, and I'm looking forward to getting to know it better.
All right, so this is your very first year on the S1000. And how would you rate yourself in terms of being a setup rider?
This is my first year on the BMW. I try my best to adapt to whatever a motorcycle or a team needs. There are a few things that I try and tailor towards my personal liking. Things like the rear brake lever, I like to have really short and stubby. I like to have the shorter front brake levers, things like that, just more comfort things. But as far as riding the motorcycle, I've really learned a lot from the Alpha crew, giving me guidance on how more or less the bike should be ridden, and trying my best to adapt my own riding style to fit the bike best.
All right, give me some examples of that.
A good example of what I've been told I need to focus on this motorcycle is drive grip. So being able to take advantage of the electronics package that Alpha provides and the chassis that Alpha provides us, being able to actually take full advantage and really get on the throttle quick, have a really sharp throttle curve, trying to accelerate down the straightaways. I think the biggest thing that it's taken me time is being able to just trust the bike. I know it's a wonderful machine, but it's just taken a little bit of time for me to kind of turn that knob in my brain and be okay with just letting the bike do its thing. So it's taken a little bit of time, but every time I hop on the bike, we're getting better and better, faster and faster, so I love it.
So you just have to get over your trust issues?
Yeah, exactly. My trust issues are what holding me back right now.
You're just like, crack the throttle, it'll be fine.
Exactly.
It'll be fine.
Yep.
So the electronics help you manage the grip that you've got, but ultimately the grip is determined by the suspension setup, wheelbase, body position, where you're weighting, etc., right?
Correct, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the electronics help the rider use all of the package that's available, but without having that set up in the first place, the electronics are essentially useless. I mean, if we have a chassis that's not set up well for traction, turning, braking stability, anything of that sorts, the electronics can only do so much. At some point, the rider has to take over, or you have to be able to develop a full package where the electronics can really help. Things like wheelbase, suspension rates, spring rates, valving. The biggest thing that we've been playing around with a lot are the swing arm pivots, being able to try having a more aggressive pivot, a more stable pivot, or a more grip-based pivot is one of the things that we're always playing around with. And luckily, Alpha and BMW provide us with a lot of adjustability in the swing arm area.
So we're talking, this is the adjustable ride height here, right?
Correct, yeah, we have 3 positions. You have -3, 2, and 1. I usually end up riding the bike in -3. And
which is the lowest?
Yes, that is the lowest setting that we can get, most biased towards the rear tire.
You're like, give me grip.
Yes,
give me grip.
As much grip as I can possibly get.
All right, and this bike is not your race bike. This bike is an Alpha, off the showroom floor, Alpha race bike.
Correct, yes. This is one that you can purchase right off the showroom floor as is.
And this is similar to what your bike started as, or exactly?
It's very, very similar. So when you look at all the hard parts, things like rear sets, triple clamps, suspension, engine, electronics, bodywork, and exhaust, basically all of the major key points are the exact same as my race bike. Some of the things like the seat, I have a little bit of a thicker seat and a little bit of a longer seat hump just to give me a little bit more support when I'm on the bike. I actually got rid of the adjuster knob for the front brake lever so I can use a shorter front brake lever just because there are some space requirements that had me do so.
What about the switch gear?
So all of the buttons are the exact same. Even the colors match. Everything is exactly how my race bike is. I even have the little Alpha plug. Same fuel cap. The biggest thing that I've done in the footrest area is I actually stole this little lever deal and moved it right where this guy is. That way I have a much shorter reach for my foot when I go to actually use a rear brake. That's just a personal preference thing. At the end of the day, everybody's going to have their own opinion of it, but that's what I've done to my race bike.
And we were talking earlier, are you running a chain length that matches what's on this, or do you have your wheelbase a little longer?
So we have our wheelbase a little bit longer than this. We're not using all of the swing arm, so to say, but we definitely are a little bit closer to the rear of the swing arm. Again, just trying to get as much grip out of the rear tire as we can.
Like another link back?
Yes.
And you've raced, what other 1000s have you raced?
I've raced the Honda, the Yamaha, the Suzuki, and I've done a lot of testing on a Ducati, but I haven't raced one.
So pretty much everything but the Kawasaki.
I have raced the Kawasaki and World Superbike.
Oh, so all of them?
Yeah,
basically. You've raced all of them?
Basically.
Yeah. And what would you say the major strengths of the BMW are?
I would say the BMW is really strong on the front end going into corners. It's especially against some of the other bikes that we race against in Stock 1000 here in America. That's where the strong point is. I'm able to close gaps on the entries. I would say it's also very strong on the long-term drive grip, being able to accelerate out of some of these more 90-degree angle corners and get the power down quickly and start accelerating down long straightaways. One of the places that we're working to improve is that initial edge grip, which is, I think, something everyone's always chasing, is just that first 5 to 10% throttle, trying to pick the bike up off the edge of the tire. We get a little bit of wheel spin, which is where some of the other bikes seem to have a little bit of an advantage. But every session we're out there, we're always working to try and help with that. And again, in a long-term scenario, the 2/10 that they gain on the edge grip, we gain back at the end of the straightaway. So it's more of a cat and mouse game, but that's one thing we're working on.
And it always seems like the other guy has more edge grip.
It always seems like they have more.
So on an ordinary weekend, how big would you say the setup window is on a BMW?
I would say the setup window on a BMW is fairly narrow compared to some of the other motorcycle brands out there. Once you get the bike feeling how you want as an individual rider, we tend to not stray too far. We've noticed that minor changes make a big difference on this motorcycle. I can't pinpoint exactly why. However, I will tell you right now that 1 millimeter of preload in the rear is something that you can directly feel, versus sometimes on other bikes you have to add 3 to 4 before you actually tell a difference. It is a very touchy motorcycle, but at the same time it allows you a lot of adjustability and a lot of fine tuning.
1 millimeter?
1 millimeter. I literally, before my race warm up to race 2, we added 1 millimeter of preload in the rear and took out 1 millimeter of preload in the front, and it actually made a pretty big difference.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking time to talk to us about the bike, and good luck in New Jersey.
Thank you, guys.